sorry. All right. What are we waiting for? Okay. Are we up? Okay. All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Breeden.
Here.
Ms. Stevens.
Here.
Mr. Maurer.
Here.
Mr. Blades.
Here.
Mr. Heyman. 5 present. We have a quorum.
Okay, approval of the agenda.
Staff is going to ask for the removal of item number 6.
I move
Okay.
approval of the agenda with the exception of removing item 6.
Second.
Okay. Okay.
5 ayes. Motion carries.
Okay, the next item is a presentation, and the former mayor, councilman, committee member, would you please make your presentation, Mr. Morgan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, for allowing me to come into the cone of silence, so to speak, and give this report this evening. On behalf of the membership of the Measure L and V Committee, myself as chair, Ted Rebolton vice chair, J.P. Morgan, Eric Severson, and Charles Ruland Sr. I want to thank all of them, and of course I want to thank staff for all of their hard work, Cherie and Bard and the chief and the sergeant over there, the captain, all of staff who assisted us in putting this together. Just a little reminder of what Measure V is. So on July 20th, 2016, the Ridgecrest City Council unanimously placed Measure V on the November 2016 ballot. It continued Ridgecrest's existing Measure L voter-approved local sales tax of Measure L was 0.75%, and Measure V ended up being 1%. Without continued local funding, half of the Ridgecrest police budget and most of the road repair budget would have to be cut, including eliminating 15 police officers who patrol Ridgecrest neighborhoods. And a Measure V was passed, and in the near future, the council will have to probably start referring to if they're going to continue it. So everyone in the world should have a question, because when a chart was made pretty, it was screwed up. So I am going to have to fix it. I'm going to go to the larger version. First, I'll talk about this chart, the expenditure by function. So this is a cumulative effort showing the expenditures only of the Measure L and the Measure V funding, and you can see the fiscal 2019 amounts. Public Works, $692,000. The Police Department, $2,352,000. And I will point out the two red numbers for your information. The committee couldn't figure out how to put this into the chart because it was technically not Measure L or Measure V revenue. It was a reimbursement from the general fund by the council for a advance to a landscaping and lighting district for $16,000 and a reimbursement for $60,000 that was used on transit funds previously. So those numbers are there just for accuracy, but we could not include them in the totals because it would offset the chart. It would make the percentages incorrect. Does anybody have any question on that chart? Okay. This is the one that's messed up. So this chart is a simpler version of total revenues. So actually it's total expenditures. So if you go from 2013 across, you can see in the 2019 you had $2.352 million for public safety. You had $692,000 for streets maintenance and construction. You had the $16,000 there for the reimbursement, the $60,000 for the reimbursement, and the totals in the far right column are incorrect. So for public safety, the total for years 13 through 19 should be 12,041,000, or 12.041. So during this entire evolution of Measure L and V, currently, the police department has spent $12,041,000. Okay? The following, the streets, maintenance, and construction, that number should be $6,495,000, or 6.495. And then if you do the math, it comes out correctly. The total expenditures from 13 through fiscal 19 for Measure L and Measure V funding is $18,542,000, a very substantial amount. This just proves how beneficial these measures have been. So I will get the correct charts to you, and I will make sure that they get put on the city website, the correct version, so that the public will have the same information, the correct information. Any questions on that one? Okay. So this pie chart actually shows the correct numbers of what I just spoke about. So Public Works, rounded 6.5, or 35% of the total cumulative expense. Public Safety, 12.04 million, or 65%. And then there is a couple of others in there. There was some financing in the beginning, and in fiscal year 13 and fiscal year 17, there were some expenditures to the county. And then, of course, we have that $16,000 and the $60,000. So that all other is the nominal. Makes no difference to the actual percentages. I'm only going to show these next two charts because there was a financial change in the reporting of the numbers that came through your city's finance department and Cherie Faries. And we just wanted to point it out in case someone had looked at the previous reports and then looked at this report. So there was an accounting difference in the 17-18 year. The numbers changed slightly through the county office, accounting office, to the city of Ridgecrest. And you can just see those numbers there. And then following, the total revenue changed slightly and the percentage changed slightly. But there was no loss of funds. It just was updated numbers that was given by the county that we found out about as a committee this year. So we wanted to make sure that the report, that the chart was correct. Okay? So you can see, I'll go back for a second. So you can see the revenue from governmental activities tax for 18-19, 13.4 million. Sales tax, 8 million. Gas tax, 528,000. And then other revenue, 4,844,000. And then back to this chart, the Measure LV total revenue. So 18-19 was 4,428,000. All other taxes, 8.9. Governmental activities, 13.9. The percentage of Measure LV to tax revenue for the 18-19 year. Measure LV, 33.1% of your total income in tax revenues. That's what Measure L and V gave to the city. And that, of course, is from the citizens and from everyone who purchases items in town where sales tax is collected. So you can see how well it's working for the city and your budget. This is just a pie chart of what I just spoke about. Again, showing Measure V is 33% of your total tax revenue. This is the 7th year. This is where I can break it down slightly for you. The far right-hand column. So we had a prior year carryover of $1,370,000. We had the two reimbursements. For the 18-19 year, Measure L generated $16,000. That's the last time you'll see Measure L in these reports. And the sales tax from Measure V was $4,412,708. So the expenditures, once again, Police Department, $2.351 million. Engineering, we broke this down. Engineering was $64,767, and street maintenance was $627,130. For a total expenditure of $3,043,627 in the 18-19 year. The revenue over expenditure for the measure funds was $1.385 million. That left a carryover into this fiscal year of $2,831,867. Now, the reason why that is so big, the City Council had received some information from the Public Works staff about some projects that they wanted to do, but the council determined it was a single source request through the staff, so the council did not approve it. So that's why there is such a large number to carry over. But it doesn't mean that it's all accessible. So because of the way the fiscal year works and because of the way the cycle works for the engineering department, we had some items that were unspent but obligated. So this chart just shows the different POs, the amounts, and what that PO was for. Through the chart, down to the bottom. So the total PO covered by Measure LV was $345,332, which actually left you with an unspent balance of $2.486 million. That's what the staff had to work with as they were determining what they were going to do in the future, especially the Public Works Department. Questions? Okay. So now we're going to talk about specifically Public Works, Public Safety, and then we're going to go to Public Works. So this pie chart, again, represents fiscal 18-19 total Ridgecrest Police Department expenses for the year was $7.11 million. Measure L and V contributed $2.35 million, or 33% of the total police department budget for 18-19. Some of the things that were purchased, Crown Victoria overhaul, and I have the numbers for that if you want me to give them. It was like $7,000 for the overhaul, I believe, but thank you, Jeff. 24,737. I guess I should go to my full report. There was an article in the paper today, so I'm going to try and not repeat what was said there, but I should point out what Measure V and the police department paid for. So the following positions were funded by Measure L and Measure V: 1 police sergeant, 12 police officers, 2 records clerks, 1 dispatcher, 1 code enforcement officer. This was in addition to $7,150 for 2 candidates to attend the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Academy, $24,737 to overhaul 1 patrol car, $1,357 to install a split cage into a transport vehicle, and $10,580 for the purchase and installation of 7 new light bars. So this is the Crown Vic that was overhauled. This is the split cage viewed from both sides. The reason for this is law was changed to where different classifications of individuals have to be transported separately. So, to limit some costs for the city, the police department put this in the middle of a bench seat, basically, so now you can deliver to Bakersfield 2 different classifications of individuals because they are separated. Pretty simple. There's a light bar installation. And you saw this in your budget presentation. This is the crime statistics and calls for service for the police department. So during this reporting period, the police department experienced a slight increase of 440 total calls for service. The total of 23,657 calls averaged 65 calls per day. The annual total Part 1 crimes was down by a number of 4, with significant fewer violent crimes, primarily assaults. This reduction was offset by an increase in property crimes, specifically theft and burglary. The police department continued to monitor crime trends in the community and has shifted their priorities in an effort to maintain the safety of the Ridgecrest citizens. By maintaining the number of sworn officers, they have been able to provide a sufficient number of patrols in neighborhoods, respond quickly to 911 calls, and continue crime prevention programs. Any questions on the police department?
Thank you, sir.
Public Works. So the chart here that we're showing is the slurry work that was completed through spring of 2019. So this is the fiscal 18-19 year, and these are all the projects, the different locations, the center line length, the width, the square footage, the center line miles, and the lane miles of those road projects. Okay, so the city's street network represents one of the city's largest capital investments. The street network has a total of 126 miles with a total replacement cost of $144,900,000. In 2016, an independent street assessment stated 22.3 miles, or 59.6% of the city arterial and secondary streets were in need of major rehabilitation, such as overlay or reconstruction. To complete the major maintenance on all the arterial and secondary streets, the cost would be $17,470,000. The 2011 pavement management study estimated $20,510,000 for major maintenance in all arterials and secondary streets, had an estimated cost of $30,670,000. The city's roads pavement condition index in 2011 was overall a 23.5, which is literally non-existent, according to the pavement management index chart. By using Measure L and Measure V funds, along with other funding sources for the roads, the PCI value had increased to 54.9% in 2016, and we did not have the update for this report. So there is another study being compiled. So for the pavement condition index, that number should go up again, but we don't have that for you currently for this report. This is just a graphic showing what you saw on the previous chart. This is where the work was done. Okay. Engineering. Measure B expenditures by Public Works for fiscal year 18-19 included Public Works employee pay, benefits, training, travel, oil, sand, other consumable materials for street repair, CAD software annual licenses, 5301 and 5203, those are your codes in your budget, vehicle maintenance expenses, and contract engineering services. It is the conclusion of the committee that Measure V funds under the scope of Public Works and engineering were used in a proper fashion. So this chart, or this pie chart, works with the next 2 slides. So I'm going to start here. So engineering expenditures of $64,766. Your salaries were 54.73% of that. Your professional services were 25.86%. Your training was 3.46%. Software was 15.95%. And that is your total expenditures for engineering, the 64,000. So if you look at the following 2 pages, you'll see breakdowns of all of those expenditures and where they were expended. The 2 that had some question, the top 2 in this first chart. So Quadnoff, design work on city-owned senior center parking lot. There was a question, it was explained, it's a city-owned property. Makes perfect sense to use Measure V funds for that. And then Abilities Unlimited, construction of a widened driveway approach to remedy a safety issue on Ward Avenue. This was a problem at Starbucks. Starbucks had constructed or reconstructed their entry into their drive-through according to proper code, and complaints came in. City council members and apparently planning commissioners received complaints about this. Vehicles were rolling over the curb. City staff went out there, took a look, saw the black marks on the curb. It was on the city street, so they expended this $4,180 to take care of that issue as a street repair. And the committee, the majority of the committee had no problem with this. Any questions on that?
I have some concerns about that Starbucks expenditure as well. I had known about it before your presentation, and I just think that that maybe wasn't the best and highest use of the money, and I'd like to make sure that we avoid using it for those kinds of things in the future. I just don't, I think a lot of people see this as this money should be using for improving the actual conditions of the roads, and most think from what I hear most often is, and they see that as black, seeing new black on the roads, and so things like that kind of make people have concerns over it. It wasn't a huge dollar amount, but it's just kind of like reimbursing the transit fund. It's just something that kind of makes people have questions, so.
I'm sure staff will take that under advisement, ma'am. Well, if the city council decides to reimburse the measure funds of $4,180, I'd be happy. No complaint. The next is your transportation, training, and meetings. A rather large chart to show that $2,239.10 was spent on training. So you have the Resident Engineers Academy for Caltrans. You have things like the Slurry Conference and Training. You have a hotel cost for pavement management course. So all things that the committee did not see were any issue in the expenditure for engineering. They have to train. They have to go to these things. They don't do that, they can't do their work properly. Which leads us to the last item, which is the software. This has been a question for several years that I'm aware of. The 2 different softwares are used by your engineering department. Specifically, the Donegal Licensed Software Maintenance was for the slurry machine. And then you have the AutoCAD. And people say, well, why is the city need AutoCAD for streets and roads? Well, if the staff doesn't have AutoCAD, they can't read what the engineers from out of town give them, because it's all in AutoCAD. All the pictures, all the charts and everything they use, it's all done in AutoCAD. So it's not that the city necessarily needs it to draw their own, which they could, and they probably do in some extent, to some extent, but to be able to, like your Tamarisk project, like your Downs project, they have to be able to read the reports coming from the people who are doing your work, and that's what the AutoCAD is for. And only 3 people have the licenses, and they are all your engineering staff. No other department can touch it. Okay? Any questions on that? This is your street expenditure chart? Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to go through $627,129.81. So your street repair and maintenance was 53.87% of that, or 337,000 plus. Repair and maintenance to vehicles was $12,500. Professional services was only $2,661. Salaries was 37.57%, or $235,000. And they did purchase a vehicle, which I have a picture of, $38,556.58. Questions? Okay. This is the final map that I have for you tonight. This is the cumulative map for the previous years. What we could not do, what we will be doing in the future, is we will take this year's report of the slurry and we will figure out how to put it on this map so that we have one map that shows everything. We're not able to do that this year, but we will work on that. And the only other thing I will say is there is some question if you remember the CAFR, which the committee uses. There is a discrepancy in the number of miles of pavement in the CAFR as per the city report. Well, there's two reasons for that. Number one, Mr. Lauer is going to be watching more closely the numbers that the CAFR gets. But the CAFR is a point in time. So whenever they receive the number of miles that had been constructed for the CAFR, that's the number they used. So the numbers would naturally be different because I'm assuming not everything was either in construction or been constructed in the 1819 year. So if you have concerns about the CAFR number versus the report number, that is the explanation. And if that's all I have, I tried to do it as quickly as possible. If there are questions, I can go back. If there, Madam Mayor, if there are questions of the public, like I said, I'll fix that chart. Actually, Mr. Jeff over here will fix that chart for me, and I will get the right one to you within a day or two so that you can put it on the city website.
Okay, any questions?
So in your opinion, then, the spending, other than those two little items, is appropriate?
The majority of the committee, there is no question about any of the expenditures in this report. The questions that I brought up were only because the committee did discuss those, and I wanted to make sure that was brought out. So, yes, the 100% assured by the committee that the money was expended properly. If the council has a difference of opinion in one or two, I'm sure you guys will take care of that. And the next committee meeting probably will not occur until January. We're going dark because we can't get any of the numbers. We can't get the CAFR. We can't get all the information that we need. I will just say that the committee worked very, very hard. I know that we have a new member coming in, and he'll be starting in January with us. And the hope is that we can streamline this process from the committee's perspective, meet twice a month, and have the report to you by May next year. We wanted to do May this year, and we missed our target. So we're planning on starting in January and having a report to you in May.
Thank you for all the hard work from all of us. I know it was a time-consuming effort, and you gave us a clearly understandable report. So thank you. My commendation. Okay, the next item is public comment on items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the council members on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the city will not take action on any item that does not appear on this agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. The public comment section of this agenda is listed to a total of, for 1 hour. Each speaker is asked to provide his or her name. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak? I don't see anybody. Is that correct?
Blue is the one that,
Yeah, okay, all right, now there is. Please identify yourself and ask your question, please.
Hello, am I on there?
It's quiet.
Yes, I can't hear anybody on my end.
We hear you fine.
The communication's hard. I'm not getting any, feedback. So I see you on the screen. Wave your hand or something so I know you hear me.
We hear you.
Okay, very good. All right. Okay, since you didn't ask for public comment on the presentation, I'm going to give it now. I was there from the beginning at Measure L, and there was a big debate the very first year that the tax was instituted and the Measure L committee was put in place, and the reason being the spending of the funds. And there will be people who would try to deny this, but me and several others were there, and the promise was made that this money was going to be used to get the streets fixed. As you all saw, for the first 4 years of that funding, the hugest percentage was to the police department and very small percentage for streets. And this was very disappointing. A lot of people in this town, almost everybody in this town, if you ask them what their biggest complaint is, guess what you're going to hear? The streets are crummy. Most of them still are crummy, and a lot more should have been fixed up to this point. Now, the fact of the matter is, at this point, with Measure V, I believe your revenue is about $4 million, and I don't believe $2 million were spent on streets. The last fiscal year, I may be wrong on that, but I think that's correct. If this council wants to do right by the people of Ridgecrest, they need to figure out how to get Public Works to spend the majority of $2 million every single year spent on getting the roads fixed. Now, we made a lot of progress in optimizing funds thanks to Mrs. Stevens, who had to push hard and get us into the slurry machine business. And I believe that what we really should do, because we've proven that we can't even, spend $2 million on streets. We don't have a large enough crew to do enough slurry machine work. We should seriously look at renting a second slurry machine during the paving seasons and figure out how to cross-train some city workers in parks and recs or whatever, or even figure out how to hire some temps so we can cross-train and run 2 slurry machine operations during both paving seasons. And in that way, I think you could probably make use of a lot more of what should be being spent on the streets and show the people of Ridgecrest that you're really serious about getting the streets fixed. Because looking at the chart that was just shown by Mr. Morgan and the streets that have been fixed over a 7-year time period, I'm not satisfied with that, and I don't think very many other people would be satisfied with that either. So you have your chance here. You've got the money. You need to just figure out a way to get your logistics in place and get your staffing tweaked up and trained so you can do the work. And let's get twice as many roads slurried and fixed as we have been each paving season. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to just comment to that because I don't know if you saw in the budget hearing, but I believe part of the reason why the slurry seal program isn't moving faster is the prep work end. And so in the budget, if COVID doesn't mess everything up budget-wise, the plan is to get another crack seal and pothole filling machine so that more prep work can be done so that then the slurry seal can move faster. So hopefully with those additions, we will be able to expedite slurry. But I think they've done a really great job with what they've had so far.
Okay, is there any other public comment on public comments? Go ahead, please identify yourself and speak.
You need to mute your computer, please.
All right, would you like to speak then without your computer? Okay? Please. You're being echoed. Do you have, are you on your phone or your computer? One, can you mute one? No, no, you're wrong. What is that? Is that them?
Yeah, it's someone's computer is,
Somebody who's ever listening to their computer while the phone is going, please mute the computer. We are hearing 5 minutes ago's discussion. Whoever is doing that, please do so. Okay, we're going to go to another speaker then. Is there someone else who would like to speak? Please identify yourself. If you are anyone else that's there. Okay, seeing,
no,
is there anybody else listening, coming on?
Yeah, the light's green.
I know, I'm seeing if there's anybody else that is waiting to call in that is called in.
And just as a reminder, the call-in number is 760-499-5010. Somebody asked that I remind people of that call-in number regularly.
Okay, I see no other calls, so that is, what?
Hello?
Now there's someone there, all right?
Hello?
Please identify yourself and ask your question.
Hello?
We hear you. Please identify yourself and ask your question.
Hello?
Gary,
is there
can
any-
you let them know that we hear them? Because Mr. Neal said he couldn't hear us.
Hello?
Hello.
Are you available or not? You've got your
Hi,
computer
this
on.
is Jessica Weston from the Daily Independent. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes, we can hear you. Somebody's got their computer on and it's coming through the speaker and holding on a phone. Please turn that off. Okay, Jessica, ask your question. Jessica, are you still there?
I just texted her to let her know that we could hear her, even though she can't hear us.
Okay, we're on like a 5-minute time delay.
Okay. Can you
Okay, I'm
turn?
just going to say this and you guys can answer it if you hear me. I wanted to know how the city is doing in terms of recovering from the Ridgecrest earthquake sequence almost a year ago. If you guys are where you thought you would be at a year later, if that's even possible to ask. And what kind of reimbursements are on the way, how that is looking, and also if you had a number of the total number of people who were displaced. You probably don't, but I thought I'd ask. Okay, I'll just wait.
Jessica, if you can hear me, we will get you that information. No one has it on the top of their head. And we will get you that information tomorrow. Is that okay? Can you hear me? Okay, I'm assuming you at least understand what I said, even if you couldn't hear me. Is that correct? Okay, we're going to go on. Is there any other public comment?
Gary, do we need to have
Madam
a
Mayor, this
few-minute break or anything?
Madam Mayor,
Go ahead.
this is Lloyd Pilchin. I just wanted to let you know I've been on the line. I apologize for any technical difficulty.
Okay, thank you for being there, Lloyd.
And Madam Mayor, should we go ahead and take a
Hello?
break? It seems
Well,
like we're
I
having
just want to
issues.
see, is it something they can fix? All right, we're going to take a break.
5 minutes.
5, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello?
What I don't understand is people are complaining that we weren't open down for open house. Doesn't say out here.
I know we put it out online because of the governor's.
I think I'm gonna run out and get my pen and my,
I can give you a pen. I can't give you your phone.
Yep,
give me
we
my phone?
skipped the Pledge of Allegiance and the prayer, and
Is it on there?
we're going progressive.
If you'd like, we can put it on.
was it not on?
I don't see it on the agenda.
I thought it was. Nope. Not on the agenda.
Can we make sure that that's on again?
Perhaps somebody used a format that wasn't updated. Wait a minute, Mike's going out for his telephone, so give it a minute. Okay. Okay. So when we come back on, will they be able to hear us? Okay.
Honorable Mayor, can you hear me?
Who is that? We're waiting
Laura.
to come back from a moment's break so we could fix the technical issues. We'll be back in a minute, please.
Oh, okay, just wanted to report there's been a series of power outages throughout the city, which people might have lost transmission of YouTube, watching it on YouTube, or their computer could have gone down as a result of the power outages.
Thank you for that information. Someone texted me and said that our mics are still speaking out and people are hearing us talk. I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference. We just have to wait for Mike to get back and we'll go back into open session.
Yeah, we're just on a 5-minute break. So.
Okay. Gary, are those people waiting for public comment items? Thank you. I just got a text from Jessica. She said she heard our response saying that we would get that information for her tomorrow. Okay, Mike, we're ready to begin as soon as you get up here. Okay. All right, then you can hear. All right, caller, please identify yourself and ask your question or comment. Caller? Okay, Dave, can you speak a little louder? Is there anything, Gary, we can do to hear him?
Have we ordered the new equipment, Ron?
Gary, are those people waiting for All right. Are you on the line? I hear it ringing.
Sir, you're doing me next call.
Caller, are you there? Is there a caller holding? Could you speak and identify yourself, caller, and ask your question or comment?
The light is still blue, Gary.
Gary, are there any callers?
Hello, Mr. Matthews. This is Lindsay Stevens. Did you want to make a comment?
Okay.
Hold on just a minute. Give me just a second. We got a caller on and then I'll put you up.
Hello.
Okay, go ahead. Please identify yourself and ask your question or comment. Go ahead and speak, caller.
Just a minute, Matthews. I'll put you on it. No, you're listening to your computer, Mr. Matthews.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'll put you on.
Please speak.
I'll let you know. Hold on.
Is there anyone there waiting to speak other than Dave Matthews?
You want me to go ahead and do him?
Let's go ahead and do them.
All right, Mr. Matthews. Give me just 1 second. All right, Mr. Matthews, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Sorry I didn't get down there this time, but we got transportation problems at my house. I don't know what happened here, but during the Measure L and V presentation, it kind of froze up, and then when it came back on, Mr. Morgan was still there and asking for comments on the issue, and it looked like it put in a big delay of some kind. I don't know how. But anyway, I had a question on the presentation that he was doing, and that he had mentioned salaries for public works people. And I thought when Measure L was put in that there was not going to be any salaries out of those funds, and that the salaries were going to come out of the general fund. So I just thought I would mention that because now it seems like you're getting salaries out of the Measure L and Measure V. And with that, I guess that's it for now because I can't figure out where in the heck you are.
So, Mr. Matthews, there was a power surge in the town, and that's probably why there's been some delays and some breakup in your stream.
Okay.
Okay.
All right? Thank you, Mr. Matthews.
Thank you.
Ask anything at all? Okay. All right, is there another caller waiting? Caller, please identify yourself and speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes, please go ahead. Hello, this is Ron Porter.
Go ahead, Ron. Could you turn off your computer or mute your computer, please?
This is a one-sided thing here.
Thank you.
One-sided thing here. I can't hear you unless I turn the television back on. There's no computer on. You got some kind of mess up going on there.
Well, I can't talk to you then and tell you. We had some computer power issues in the city all over our community today, and this is what the issue is. So go ahead and speak. See my hand? Speak.
Well, this is kind of difficult. Basically, what I wanted to let the people know, and you know, that the California courts have decided that the governor doesn't have a lot of the authority he does regarding Corona-19 and shutting things down. Basically, the city council has an obligation to make sure what laws and what he's doing and what kind of directions he's giving are lawful. It's really difficult when you have to have a one-sided conversation. Oh, now the kid froze up again. I'd like to be there in person, but it's rather difficult. And like I said, this is just not working out well. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Okay, is there any other callers online? Are there any other callers online?
He said yes.
Okay. How did I see that?
Okay, go ahead. Try.
Caller, are you there?
Hello?
Caller, please identify yourself and state your comment or question.
Yeah, hello.
Go ahead and speak.
They can't hear us. That's their problem.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, but speak. Somebody tell him from inside the booth. Can you tell him to
Hello?
speak? Tell him to speak.
He's getting on the phone telling them that we can speak. I asked.
All right, my name's Mike Senat. Hello, everybody, and hello, Ridgecrest. I'm the publisher of Roadrunner395.com, news and views from the Indian Wells Valley. I hope to be with you tonight, but circumstances won't allow me to be there in person. I want to make two big announcements, and because of the events early this morning, I now have three big announcements. First, the Indian Wells Valley, as of today, is proclaimed the Roadrunner capital of the world by the Nocturnal Commission of the High Inland Terrain, and July 1st, from this day forward, will be reserved for National Roadrunner Day. That's National Roadrunner Day, hashtag National Roadrunner Day. You can read about the greater Roadrunner, the most amazing bird in the world, at Roadrunner395.com. Second, tonight I'm introducing the China Lake Heritage Restoration Act. Yes, it's an act of Congress. We intend to ask Congressman Kevin McCarthy to sponsor the legislation and respectfully request that President Donald J. Trump sign the legislation. This legislation will enable us to build infrastructure, solve our water crisis, and restore China Lake's heritage. I want to mention that in Phoenix, there's a small civic organization called the Thunderbirds.
that puts on the most successful golf tournament on the PGA Tour called the Phoenix Open. We are the Roadrunners, and we hope to put on a golf tournament each and every year on the 1st of July at a public golf course that everyone can play. My third announcement is really big. This morning at 3 a.m., I happened to be awake to hear a loud motorcycle race by my house with the Ridgecrest police in hot pursuit. They were traveling southbound on Mahan Street and ended up out in the desert south of town in pitch black darkness and a big cloud of dust. Not knowing who was out there or the threat that they faced, the officers quickly caught the suspects and everyone was safe. I would like you to walk in their shoes and imagine what it would be like to be these officers and do what they did. I want to thank them both, along with the other officers that responded to the scene concerned about their partners. It was a true display of bravery that I witnessed this morning. Sergeant Groves calmly told me that it was nothing big, but he didn't know it was National Roadrunner Day, and we posted the story on our website along with pictures and also at our Twitter feed at NoChit395. It's national news. I am pleased to announce that Officer Kyle Cushman and Sergeant Bill Groves have been selected as our first honorary Roadrunners. Congratulations to the Ridgecrest Police Department. Sergeant Bill Groves and Officer Kyle Roadrunner Cushman, thank you for your service and your bravery. I want to mention one more thing. If you check out the China Lake Heritage Restoration Act on our website, you'll be able to see and listen to the greatest rendition of our national anthem that's ever been played. Happy birthday, America. I hope you'll check out Roadrunner 395 and follow us on Twitter. Happy National Roadrunner Day to the Indian Wells Valley, the Roadrunner capital of the world. Thank you, and may God bless America.
Thank you, sir. Okay, is there anyone else ready to speak? Nope.
No, ma'am, but I do think we have a workaround. Lindsay helped come up with this, that when the caller calls in, they're just going to transfer it to Lindsay's iPhone, and then she'll put it up to the speaker so we can have interaction.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is council announcements. Are there any council announcements? Okay, well then.
I don't know if Ron's going to announce this later in his report, but the apartment project on Norman Street got approved. They got their, oh, she's going to speak. Okay, I won't steal your thunder.
Okay, we'll take that up in a minute then.
Yeah, she'll be discussing that during the city manager comment.
Okay.
Okay, the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the city staff. Consent calendar items may be approved by one motion if no member of the council or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or questions are desired by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent calendar and will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the city council. The first item is proposed action to approve draft minutes of the City of Ridgecrest City Council Successor Redevelopment Agency Financing Authority, Housing Authority, regular meeting dated June 17th, 2020. The next item is a resolution of the City Council of City of Ridgecrest to levy and collect sewer fees on the general tax rolls for fiscal year 2021. Number 3, grant acceptance by the California Department of Alcohol and Beverage Control grant through the Alcohol Policing Partnership, APP. Is there anyone on the council wish to have any of these items pulled?
Number 3.
Number 3. Okay, is there any public who would like to have any of those items pulled? I'll give you a few minutes to call in.
Yep, already pulled.
Okay, a motion then to approve.
I move approval of items 2 and 4.
Second. Oh, says fail. Failure.
Okay, let's just do it by roll call.
Mayor Breeden?
Yes?
Mr. Blades?
Yes.
Ms. Stevens?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Mauer?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, item number 3, Mr. Lauer, will you address that, please?
So I just wanted to make a comment, was why I pulled it. Was I just wanted to make sure that there was an understanding that the fee will not increase for single or multi-family dwellings. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
There are no increases in fees for single-family, multifamily, mobile home. The rest of them are based on water usage, so their fees change on a yearly basis. And that's all.
Yeah, so just a follow-on to that was maybe you could just anchor down and dive into it. So those changes, it's all commercial, correct? And what's that based off of?
The fees are set by classification. And the only difference in how much they pay is, let's say if you're a laundromat, you're charged X amount per every 100 cubic feet of water. And then your bill is then based upon how much water you used the previous year.
Minus 20%.
Yeah, minus 20%.
What is that chart that you just held up? Because that's
It's actually it's like the last page of the item. It's the rate chart. It basically shows there's been no change since 2018.
Okay, is there any other questions from council? Are there any questions from the public on this particular item, item number 3? Gary, can I assume somebody's calling in?
just a second.
Okay.
Hello. Caller, are you there?
Yes?
Please identify yourself.
This is Ron Porter.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm calling because the whole sewer fee, I'm going to make the recommendation again that we do a study on it and find out the history, but the sewer fee is not being collected in compliance with Prop 218. I've said this before, the city has continually refused to actually do an investigation and look into the matter. The last engineering report that was put out didn't meet the requirements for Prop 218. We need to look into this and say, okay, are we doing this lawfully? And I can tell you right now, we're not. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Can
Okay,
Lloyd?
is there any other callers?
Is Lloyd on the line?
Yeah.
I would like Lloyd to address that if he can, please.
Lloyd?
Well, I'll just say that, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Do you hear me? This is Lloyd.
Yes.
Go ahead and speak, Lloyd. Go ahead.
Do you hear me?
Or Paul
Lloyd is
Lindsay.
speaking. Do you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Speak, Lloyd.
Okay, okay, super. So the commenters' comments, they just lacked all specificity. So just saying, someone saying that something does not meet legal requirements, that is very difficult to respond to. So I think I would just, have them write a letter to explain their position, and then we can review that.
Madam Mayor, the last engineering study or rate study that was done was 2013. It was a very lengthy process. It had several council meetings. The public was engaged. This was when there was a phase-in process for the sewer fees that reached their maximum rate in 2018. And we had not had a fee increase prior to that in over 20 years. So I can say at the time that there's been at least 7 years, that if this was inappropriate, there could have been some sort of legal challenge, and there has not been.
Thank you. All right, is there any other questions? Can anyone hear? If they aren't, if you are questions, please call in. Oh, I hear the phone.
Probably wrong again.
What?
Only pertaining to this item.
All right. What is it you'd like to say?
All right, go ahead, identify yourself.
My name is Mike Sinat, and I thought I'd call back since you have extra public comment time. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about the China Lake Heritage Restoration Act.
Mr. Sinat.
The first thing it does is create the China Lake Heritage Redevelopment Agency.
Pause.
Mr. Sinat.
Land transfers
Tell him
and
to
economic
stop.
development.
Mr. Sinat,
It built a sewage
we
treatment
have moved
facility
on.
at the existing location.
Hang on.
Sorry, sir. Okay, so there's no more questions on item number 3 from council or anyone? A motion?
Second. Failed again.
Okay, can you do it, please?
Mayor Breeden?
Yes?
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
Ms. Stevens?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Mauer?
Yes.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, the next item is update on local COVID-19 response. Mr. Strand.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. First of all, I want to apologize for the IT issues that we're having right now. Obviously, COVID-19 has stressed the capacity of our current system. We are in the process of trying to identify a new system for the city to be installed as soon as possible. Matt Freeze and I went to the city of Santa Clarita last Friday and took a look at a new system that was installed at that location. And I have to say that the sound quality was very good. The system looked excellent. We are having another meeting tomorrow via Zoom here at City Hall. So we're hoping to be able to narrow that down a little bit quicker and then move forward to hopefully resolve this, because it does appear that we're going to be in this flight pattern for a while, and going in and out of public being involved in the meetings and then being telecommuted. So we're working on that. As soon as we can get it done, we'll obviously do it. It's a priority. The COVID update, currently we have 30 positive tests within our community. There is a little bit of
Community members.
yeah,
here.
30 in the community, 3 outside the community. Kern County has a discrepancy, and I really don't know why. They're still showing 12 within the city of Ridgecrest and 2 in Indian Kern.
I asked the hospital PR person, and she said that they just haven't updated for our zip code for some reason.
Yeah, it's been a couple days, but yeah, that could be. Thank you. There are currently no inpatients. As everybody knows today, one of the reasons why we shut the meeting down to the public was the governor, in concern for the rise in COVID cases within the state, has now shut down all bars, in-dining, movie theaters in Kern County, as well as 13 other counties for the next 3 weeks. The reasoning for that is that in those settings, he believes that you have several non-family members meeting for an extended period of time, not wearing a mask, and their concern is obviously the community spread of the virus. So, in due caution.
How'd that affect us here? We closed down bars.
Restaurants.
It went a little bit further today. It was bars, and the governor came out with some more. So that's something I was going to ask you, Ron, if you could clarify exactly what that means to our businesses here in Ridgecrest. And I know you know, and we've talked about it, but just for the public's information.
I don't understand why we can't have 3 or 4 people here with masks on.
Well, we can. it was out of precaution. We have had a number of cases in the last week that have come up. I didn't know how the council would feel with how things were shutting down. I know that sometimes our meetings can last a while. We can open it back up again the next meeting. It was just a judgment call. I had a short period of time to make a decision and made a decision to err on the side of caution. I'm not opposed to reopening the meeting in 2 weeks. Like I said, it was just a judgment call. We had a short period of time to do it to notify the public that we were going to include or not include. So
I just think it's just not right the way this is happening. And last council meeting, we had, 5 people here other than us. And if they all wear masks, I think we should just continue the meeting. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but have to deal with these calls that they can't hear us, and it's just not right.
No, Mike, I agree with you. I think people should have access to us. I will say that I respect Ron's judgment call. That was a tough call to make at the last minute, but I'm with you. I think that people should have access to us in these cases, especially now that we know more about COVID-19. It was one thing in the very beginning. There was a little to be known. Now we have a good idea. A lot of studies still yet to be completely vetted, but we have a better understanding of what's going on.
You still have contradicting themselves every other day, but
sure.
I'd just like to see the meeting opened with the strict requirements on it. I mean, if I can go to the gym wearing a mask, I don't know why
well,
I can't have people come here.
If Walmart and Home Depot can be open.
We agree.
Some of these rules can be confusing at times, but I think...
I understand. I'm not being critical. I'm just...
No, I know.
With
trust
our
me.
sound system and everything, I don't think it's fair to the public to not have the 4 or 5 that want to come down here.
We'll see what we can do over the next 2 weeks to at least patch up what we have, but we are expediting getting the new system in place. We do have the money as part of the CARES Act. Obviously, we have a process we have to go through for purchasing. We're looking to be able to piggyback on another bidded project, which will streamline this considerably. So we are trying to identify a contract I think we have that we can piggyback on, so we can legally do so. Because the expenditure of these funds have to obviously be done within our purchasing policies, prevailing wage. So it's just not as easy as just calling up and saying, "Hey, get down and fix it." Unfortunately, we're a public entity, and
well, even if you do call up and say, "Stiff it," like I went through a business the other day, and you usually order and then go up to the stand. I said, "Well, why aren't we not ordering? We're just driving up the window." And she says, "I've ordered new earphones and everything for my employees, and they haven't come in months." I tried to order tile for a job. The Dow tile's been closed down for 3 months. They don't have any tile. So, I understand that even if you put out a purchase order, it may take months to get it filled.
I think that this group that we're looking at, they've given us a timeline where they can install it within a 2-week period of time. They'll come in, do the pre-work, pre-wire everything, and then do the exchange. So they can do a lot of work without interfering. So all I can say is we're on it. We're doing as fast as we can.
Do we have an explanation of why our numbers have skyrocketed in town? I don't think 30 in town's a lot, considering that it went from 12 to 30 in 10 days.
Right.
May I say something at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I talked to Jim Suver and asked him I wrote this up, and I asked him to listen to it and tell me if I had any of my facts wrong. I called it rights and responsibilities. For the most part, we have been either lucky, responsible, or just blessed since the beginning of COVID. 1 week ago on June 25th, we had 1,181 tests at Ridgecrest Regional Hospital with 13 positives. Yesterday, we had 1,609 tests with 25 positive. Today, we had 1,697 tests with 31 positives and 468 results pending. No patients are in the hospital at this time. When I read this to Mr. Suver, he said, "I just want to let you know we had 3 more today." So that means 34. Rights versus responsibilities, mask or no mask. It does not matter if you believe that they work or they don't. What matters is our businesses and our community. During the earthquake, we pulled together. We saw the needs of others and worked with each other for everyone's benefit. People and businesses donated time and dollars because they could and should and did. We are community. We respect, care for, and need our businesses. COVID is not a right-wing or left-wing, nor a red or a blue conspiracy. It is a virus, and we need to deal with it. It will be the biggest cause of business failures in the Indian Wells Valley if we, and yes, I mean you and me and all of us, say I'm not going to defend my businesses. The governor said we must go 14 days, now 3 weeks, with no significant increases in COVID numbers, and according to the numbers you just listened to, in 1 day, we went from 25 to 34. First, bars. Now there were so many that were being impacted. Now other businesses, because for the most part we are not wearing masks and social distancing. When do we stop saying my rights are more important than my responsibilities to all of us and the businesses in this community? Our business should not have to hire security to defend themselves and their employees because some think their rights are being impacted. Some employees have been intimidated and threatened, and when they asked a customer to wear a mask. Some businesses may have given up and closed. Others have gone without any money for 90 to 120 days or very little, and cannot afford to tell a paying customer, go away, I don't need your business, simply over a mask. Please do not let them have to make those choices. We have spent the past year recovering from earthquakes only to fall down a financial rabbit hole over rights and responsibilities. One can argue about the difference in masks and social distancing and what it makes, and whether we are in a bar or a hardware store or a grocery store. That is philosophical, but to the business owners, it is financial. I ask all of us at a minimum to try for 3 weeks what the governor asked, to follow the rules, not for each other, but for our businesses and our community. I have nothing more to say or take away from anyone else who says important things matter, but our businesses matter and our community matters. And you can talk about what could or would or should be, but nothing is more important than keeping our businesses alive and well. And if we can do that by getting our numbers lower, I want to see it happen. I think all of our businesses and our community deserves the choice of what they want to do. Do I like these masks? I absolutely hate them. I hate wearing them, but I think we have a responsibility to try to get our numbers lower, and that is where I think we should be standing. Now, you heard those numbers. Those are not good numbers.
Yeah. I think, I was talking to someone the other day and I just told them I've seen, the variety of sources on the comments of if masks are healthy or not. And I said, here's what we know. We know it's a virus. We know it's catching, and we know it can be deadly. So just respond accordingly to that. And if businesses have a sign saying they want you to wear a mask, respect it. And respect the people that work there. I think we have a caller that's impatiently waiting to make comment as well. So
I'm going to get them. Ron, did you have more you wanted to add it on since we asked for the numbers from the hospital?
Yeah, I just have just a couple more things. One, the city did receive another CARES funding grant from the state in the amount of $362,000, so we'll add that to the money from the county. That should help us with a significant number of our sanitation strategies, as well as reimbursement for some of our costs in responding to COVID. Obviously, City Hall is not open yet. We're still waiting to get our safety shields in place. I believe last Friday we had a vendor come out and they gave us a quote, so we'll be putting those in place here hopefully soon. That's Our staffing's pretty much the same. Everybody's at work except for one employee. That employee is obviously, it's a justified reason for them to be working from home at this point in time. And so we're obviously just responding to the day-to-day ebb and flows of this disease and the directions we're getting from the governor and the county. And that's all I have at this point in time.
Thank you. Caller?
Hello, please identify yourself.
This is Ronald Porter.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just calling to let the people know that we live in a constitutional republic, and the governor does not have the authority to write dictates. We don't live in a dictatorship. There's no statutory authority to give him the power to make the dictates as he's making at this time. I wrote him a letter and said, please show me the statutes and the constitutional provision. And I got no response. And the reason I got no response is he doesn't have it. While we all are concerned about the coronavirus, we should be far more concerned about protecting our constitutional republic. He's not a dictator. He doesn't have martial law. Martial law is unconstitutional. In regard to the masks, anyone that does any scientific study on them will know one thing. They're actually more dangerous than good. It makes people feel comfortable, but they aren't protecting you at all. Even the N95 mask. The largest coronavirus is 0.1, and the largest is 0.004. A mask even the N95 only filters down to 0.3 microns. The cotton masks don't do anything. In fact, they're more dangerous because everything, when you walk around the store, you bring them home. If you don't put them in a plastic bag, as soon as you take them off and sterilize them, you spread those germs around your house because it's a wet surface. It's like a petri dish. We need to pay attention and say, each community knows their own needs, and we need to look at that. But we can't have governors out there making dictates to us, the people. We have to protect our republic. Our republic is the most important thing we have to protect. If we let it go now, the next time this governor or something happens, he's going to take more power, or the next governor will. We have to pay attention if we want to protect our republic. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have another call here.
Yeah.
You've got one.
Okay, go ahead, Scott. You're on speaker.
Thank you very much. Council, this is Scott Miller, calling resident of Ridgecrest. Unfortunately, I did not hear any of the conversation for the last little while, if you guys are aware, so I may be repeating. If I am, please stop me. I guess this question goes to the city manager. Do we have to listen to what Kern County says, or can we defy what they're doing? I'm not sure some of our businesses are going to survive another 3 weeks. Mr. Strand, I know that you received a letter from a local business the other day. I don't know if you've responded to it yet about the same topic. If we have to listen to what they're doing, or can we say, you know what, we're going to do it this way? Or do we use funding? Or I don't know how that works. Are you able to respond to that? Or?
He'll respond.
Yes, the letter I got was from the tap room regarding whether or not they could have an exception or a variance to them having to close under the governor orders. I do know that the governor is planning to enforce these orders. He is developing a strike force to do so. If you have an ABC license, that is a state license. If you remain open against the state order, then you risk losing your license. I think that's where the hook at is on most of these businesses. It's not the city's duty to enforce these, it's the state's law. And if you have a business that has a state license or a county license, you are at risk if you stay open in violation of what the governor has asked you. That's your risk.
Did you hear all that, Scott?
I believe I heard most of it.
Okay.
So,
Also, I understand that a group of churches sued the governor about being closed, and I think they lost in court.
Correct.
So Mr. Porter can say that we don't have to obey the governor, but the court has ruled we do. So unfortunately.
I just think we need to understand the governor's strike enforcement group is, I'm glad that we're not expecting our own police department to enforce this. This is pretty horrendous. And if there's going to be somebody that's enforcing it, I don't want to inflict that on our local representatives, our local police department, or anyone else.
Did you have anything else to say, Scott?
no, I appreciate your guys' time, and Ridgecrest strong.
Thank you.
I think we have another call.
I have to say, you guys have become very adaptive.
Well, he texted me, so I just told him to call me.
Please identify yourself.
Yes, this is Mike Neal. Can you guys hear me? Wave your hands. I'm going to make sure I'm being heard.
We can hear
We
you.
hear you.
Okay, very good. All right. I have several comments here based on things that have been said. First, I'd like to say I completely agree with Mr. Maurer, and specifically, unless the governor actually makes a statement and says public meetings per se should be closed, then I believe that the public should be allowed access. You've seen tonight the difficulties of doing these kinds of meetings in this fashion. There are some of us, some of the older, Mr. Matthews in particular, if his web stream doesn't work for any reason, he's not going to see what's going on down there. And if he can't hear, he's been shut out tonight. And he could have been there. It would have been simple. Now, on that line, I believe that this matter to be the council's decision, should be the council's decision. Should not be the city manager's decision to shut or close, open or close the meetings. And I believe that the council, however you feel tonight, should give direction to your manager as to how you want to proceed. Whether you want these meetings to be open, or whether you want to, close them for whatever reason and specify those reasons. The people are looking to you as responsible on this. They don't look at the city manager, at least not like I do. They look at the council. That you're the ones they see, and you're the ones they're holding responsible for dealing with this. Now, a practicality is like to let you know, as far as people who are having to be at home and watch the meeting, the shot that I'm seeing right now, the lettering on the screen is almost completely washed out. It's white on blue, light blue background. You really can't see it until it zooms in. It would be real easy to change how this is being done and put black lettering on the screen and try to bump up the font sizes so the people in the public can see what's on the screen when it's zoomed back out and onto the whole council. And it'd be even easier when it zooms in on the screen, which they don't typically even do that. That's all I have to say on that.
Thank you.
I've got one more call coming in. I just told him to call me.
He has another call too over there.
All right. Caller?
Megan Richter, can you guys hear me? Can you give me a thumbs up?
Can you please identify yourself?
I'm so sorry. My name is Megan Richter.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead with your question.
So my first, I have a question, and then I I have a statement and then I have a question. First, Peggy, I do really appreciate you emphasizing that we have to tackle this as a community. It is extraordinarily difficult, and the less we abide by these rules, as much as we dislike them, the more everybody suffers. Inyo County has been much more strict, and I think as a result, they're seeing more successes in their businesses because everybody's following the rules, and that's very important, even if you do not like them. So, Peggy, I commend you for saying that we do have to stay together as a community, and that means following some of these rules, even if we do hate wearing masks. So I appreciate that. My question is, I understand that the last couple of months has seen a drastic decrease in sales tax revenue. Are you guys beginning to have a discussion about how you're going to manage that for the next fiscal year, or how you're going to try to protect the city costs as a result of this lost sales tax revenue?
Actually, that issue was addressed during our budget hearing in June. We have some capital purchases that we are going to hold off on until such time as we see that our economy has recovered enough to be able to make those purchases. So yes, we have and are monitoring that. And I don't believe sales tax is going to be our issue as much as the transient occupancy tax.
And we also have a general fund reserve.
Yes, we also have reserve.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else right now?
There's more on there, but
Okay, I have Luke from Fury Sports Bar. Luke, would you talk?
you got to hold the
Yes,
end.
ma'am.
Hold the end up to the microphone. That works for that. There you go.
Go ahead.
Ms. Breeden, what is the city of Ridgecrest going to do for the bars in Ridgecrest, California? That's just one question. Answer it when I'm done, please. And when are we going to separate our numbers from Bakersfield? There's 3 counties here separated into one thing that the mayor is seeing. And why do we have to do this duration of time when our customers want to do what they can? And we take our precautions to do what we can to make it safe for them. I thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, are you able to hear us? Or
Yes, ma'am.
Still? I'm going to keep the phone on until you've got some answers here. Ron, do you want to address it?
Yes. First of all, if you are a bar owner, you're at the whim of the state. You're at the whim of the governor. The governor has made the directive that all bars are to be closed. If you remain open, then you are subjecting your license to, be forfeited, or not forfeited, but being able to be revoked. Yes, there was a period of time when we had very low infection stats. Those are now beginning to rise. Whether or not they level off, I have no idea. The governor chose 14 counties that had been in their watch list for more than 3 days, and those are the counties he chose to take this temporary action on. So, unfortunately, we're at the whim of this disease, and we're also at the whim of the governor.
Was there something else you would like to finish asking, Luke, or did you get your answers?
I got an answer. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
I just want to remind everybody the
Thank
call-in
you for
number
your call.
is 760-499-5010. That way we kind of stay in order of the calls too. Please identify yourself.
Hello, my name's Mike Sunot. We're talking about masks, and the first thing I want to suggest is that you don't touch your masks with your hands. When you do so, you're basically contaminating your mask. It's better to not wear one and not touch your face than to wear a mask and fiddle with it. That's a simple. I think the doctor would probably agree. The reason that a doctor in surgery holds his hands And the reason the nurse daubs his forehead is so he doesn't get contaminated, and his mask is there to protect him. So I think the mask issue is a political issue and not a medical issue, and you might want to consider that before mandating any kind of mask usage. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think it's our intent to mandate mask issues, unless somebody here knows something I don't.
Well, the state has.
Well, the governor's mandated the wearing of masks in public in certain situations.
Yeah.
And so is the federal government. Technically, they've mandated them too. Very strongly encouraged them.
Okay, is there other call? Or
Yep.
Scott, are you trying to say something?
He's got other calls.
Take this call first.
Please identify yourself. Hello?
Hello, this is Dottie Blue Juice.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say I was like Peggy's earlier comment or her speech earlier. I have quite a few friends that work in the industry. They work with work with the community and customers all the time, and they are kind of frustrated because this is a very stressful time for everyone. And I just kind of feel for them that they have to deal with people that are stressed out. People are coming in, yelling at them, ripping my friends' masks off. And so I just really appreciate and just ask everyone to just kind of think of the people that, whether they want to or not, are working for you in the public industry, because they have bills to pay as well. So not really much of a comment or a question, just more of a comment, just to thank Peggy, and hopefully everyone else kind of thinks about other people when they're going out and hopefully not harassing everyone. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You got one or yeah.
Well, I'd just like to add, I'd like to try to keep things in a bit of a perspective too with the numbers. If my math is correct, if we take the number of cases, we have 59 and divide it into the population base, we're at 0.002. If we look at those numbers, that is a very, very low number. I'm not saying that we want to be, open and go hog wild with our precautions, but I feel we should take precautions, but we need to be looking at the actual numbers. They're still very low, and I think people need to take, not get, the stress levels on everybody is great, and it's really easy to be taken down this road of, things are worse, but we're still sitting really good. I'd like to also add that, with the governor's mandates and these changes, when it came to these big protests and thousands of people getting together and having marches, and we had a big march here, who's to say that that didn't add to some of these cases? We don't know that scientifically, but if we go by the theoretical logic that's being placed on us to operate under these guidelines that the governor's given us, that's a possibility too. So we have some, concern that these numbers are up. There's no doubt about that. But please keep it in perspective that, look at the numbers for what they are. That we know we can take this number and divide it into it, and we know that that's a pretty factual number. Now, I don't have the exact, I just took 29,000 as a population based on the numbers that we were given today. But I just want to add that, because I'm not one to say, throw everything up into the wind and not do anything, but we have a society, we have a town, we have businesses that we have to try to maintain and keep operating. And there are those of us who are willing to stand out there and continue to work. And I think if we don't have that in our society, we're going to fail drastically, worse than what we are right now. Protect those that need protecting, but we need to be looking at how can we keep an economy going, not just this city, but across this nation. So anyway, something to consider.
Good job, Ray. Other callers?
Caller, identify yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Megan Thatcher. I just wanted to say that I agree 110% with what the mayor said in her statement, and that we all have a responsibility to our community to help and prevent this
spread of this virus, and we need to rise above our own stubbornness and talk about masks being more of a symbol than it really is, and just kind of rise above all this like we did last year during the earthquakes. If we do the right thing in keeping everybody safe, then this will all be over with before we all know it. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Any others?
Yep. Caller, identify yourself.
Hello, this is Megan Richter again.
Oh.
Just one comment and clarification. The purpose of masks is to prevent respiratory droplets from leaving your face and going to other people's faces. It is true that viruses are smaller than cotton fabric, but evidence from Harvard and JHU indicates the purpose is to keep those droplets, which are typically larger than a mask, inside and closer to your face. I understand businesses are important, Scott, and I completely agree with you that we have to find a way to keep them up. But unless we start wearing masks and doing social distancing as advised by major medical fields, we're going to struggle. And I see us struggling a lot more than counties just up the street like Bishop, which have been diligent and almost on the same side about keeping all of their masks on. So I beg people to consider that it is about other people, and there is good science behind the fact you should wear a mask, just like you should wash your hands and give space for each other. And I'm sorry, because I know you guys have been receiving a bunch of these comments and you look downtrodden, but I appreciate your time, and I really hope that we can get through this as a community and help keep these businesses alive by following the rules and wearing masks. And I also want to ask if the alternative is better. Right now you're being asked to do this, and would you prefer if somebody was out on the street ticketing you for a mask? That alternative is obviously not ideal. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Any others?
Yep. Caller, identify yourself.
Hi, this is Mallory Boyd calling in. Good evening to everybody. Friends that I haven't seen for quite a while. I want to just take a moment. I've been listening for a while here, and I want to applaud you on your efforts and your leadership. I think it's boding well for our community. I think continuing on this path and encouraging as many of our community to wear masks so that when we're visited by people, out-of-towners, all the new employees coming in to help reconstruct the base, et cetera, government travelers, contractor travelers here, if they come into a community that appears to be taking seriously this concern by having an overwhelming amount of us wearing masks, I think that will help us as well avoid the issues of importation of this virus. I would share, since I've been retired, I spend more time and help people than I used to do. And I noticed that the employees there are now routinely wearing masks. There for a while, they had lightened up a little bit, but darn near everybody I see in the lumber yard, the contractors coming in, aren't wearing masks. And I know it's an open air area. There's a lot of air circulation. It may not feel like you're inside, but there can be quite a few people in there. And anyway, I continue to wear my mask. I'm glad you guys are as well, setting the example, getting the message out. And just wanted to send my support to you. And anyway, thanks a lot for what you're doing to try to help to protect our community.
Thank you.
Are there any other callers?
Yep.
I'll be glad we get our new system.
Caller, please identify yourself.
Is that me?
Yep, that's you.
Hi, Dave Matthews again.
Hi, Mr.
I want to comment on what Mr. Heyman brought up a while ago. That is, I have been following this ever since the shutdown for Kern County. Kern County, the last numbers I got was that there were 70 deaths out of 4,000, I don't remember exactly, 4,313 confirmed cases for the county. Now, I haven't seen those numbers moving in the last couple of days, but if you just take that number of deaths and divide it by the confirmed cases, that's only about 1.5% of the confirmed cases. That's still a fairly low number, and that number has been going down. Maybe because they're doing more testing, I don't know. But then the population of the county that I have been using is 888,000. And 70 deaths out of 888,000 is very small. I don't remember what it is right now. I don't have my calculator handy, so I think for Kern County, it's way overblown. And that's all I got right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go then on to the next subject, unless council has any more comments.
I feel like I had a whole lot to say, but I'm just.
Okay.
I'm burnt. I'm burnt.
All right, we have pulled item number 6, so we're going to go to number 7. The second reading and adoption of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest amending portions of Chapter 106 of the Ridgecrest Municipal Code regarding temporary use of land for employee housing. Heather.
Thank you. So this is the second reading for the temporary use permit ordinance. This was first brought before the Planning Commission at a public hearing on June 11th. At that time, they had made a recommendation for changes. At the first reading of City Council took place on June 17th, and Council accepted the changes that were recommended by the Planning Commission. So a summary of what this temporary use permit is for is it's the employee housing camps. Could be located in any zoning district if it meets the needs of the base. Would be operated with adequate protection for the public health, safety, and convenience and general welfare. Applicants are submitted to a council committee that recommends to the city manager. The city manager may grant or approve the application. Applications would be reviewed and conditions set by the various departments. Those could include police, fire, public works, building, and finance. The permit would be for a specific time period, and the city manager would be able to amend the terms and conditions or revoke the permit. The permit may require conditions as approval that the applicant provide a bond for liability insurance, and then any appeals to the decision that the city manager makes in regards to the employee camps would be able to be made to City Council. Staff is going to recommend that the City Council adopt the ordinance amending portions of the Chapter 106 of the Ridgecrest Municipal Code regarding temporary use of land for employee housing.
Okay. All right, discussion, please. Question? Anybody? Okay, any public discussion? We'll give you a few seconds, 30 seconds, I hear some, them to call in.
Caller, please identify yourself.
This is Ronald Porter. I'm calling because I don't know whether we really have a need for this or not, considering the number of motels and stuff that we have in this town that need business. But my problem is, and I wish someone discussed, number one, the need and identify it. But with these temporary housing, it doesn't say a word in the ordinance about cleanup and cost to do this. And I just have to wonder, what are they going to do and why, when we apparently have plenty of hotels right now that probably need the business for these temporary housing. So, someone has to explain to me why we even want to do this, because I can't see it.
Yeah, Mr. Porter, we're anticipating anywhere between 500 and 1,500 workers in town at any one time for approximately a 3 to 5 year period of time. Now, if it was just the workers coming into town and there was no other work being done on base, there wouldn't be a need for additional housing. But because we have a shortage of housing available right now, there will be a need for additional temporary housing to house these workers for a period of time. Now, it is true that this may or may not be needed. This is an option for the contractors if they should choose to do so. The Navy is offering 2 additional sites on Navy land that the contractors can take advantage of if they choose to. However, if they do not, then the city has the option to allow these camps temporarily within the city.
And there will be a bond for cleanup, so, yeah.
Right, that's part of the conditions of approval. There will be conditions. We are trying to direct this on city land, if at all possible. We have a lot more control.
Get that,
Is that it?
Mr. Porter?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, what?
Oh, did you hear his response?
Yeah, it still doesn't explain it. What kind of temporary housing are they talking about? Are they talking about temporary buildings, like school buildings?
Trailers.
I think what we really need to talk about in this ordinance is, before anything gets approved, it needs to come back to city council so the people have a say. Because this will all be done and people won't understand what, when, where, or how.
It is coming back to city council, correct, Mr. Strand, if it's on city property?
Yeah, the way the ordinance is written, if it's on private property, then it will go to a committee. If it's on city land, it will go both to closed session with the council for property negotiations and then to a committee for additional review and recommendations. And if there's also the due process that's placed in there that if anybody in the community chooses to not like the location, they can always appeal that to city council as a final arbiter.
And it was going to go to infrastructure, and it was going to be $100 for an appeal?
I do not believe we set that amount.
I thought that's what we said last meeting.
Yes, we have to bring that, we'll have to bring that back to council for the dollar amount. Go ahead, Lloyd.
The committee, the specific committee is not specified in the ordinance, so you can certainly suggest that it be infrastructure, but I think we just said, I believe the language of the ordinance just says a city council committee. And then as far as the appeal, the fee for filing an appeal, that was direction to staff at the last meeting, and that will be accomplished by a resolution. All fees, all city fees are set by resolution, so that is not spelled out in the ordinance.
And I believe the staff's intent is to keep that number low, but obviously not high enough just so somebody can just file an appeal as a nuisance.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other calls?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Porter.
I have something else to say.
Oh. Okay, go ahead.
Right.
the biggest question I have, this may affect the by people's residence thing. Like before any approval, it should go back to council so the people have an opportunity to say. If it's by your house and it's little bitty units and there's a bunch of travel going in and out, the people, it might impact them personally, even on private property. It needs to go back to council and have approval so the people actually have a say. So it's made public, it's on the general agenda. Whether it's on private or public property, it doesn't matter. The people need to be informed prior to occurring. They need to have a say.
Going to committee.
Is there a reason, why can't, instead of it going to committee, go to council? What was
There would be no one to appeal it to.
that was, yep. So that's why we
right.
have it going to committee first, and then if it's appealed, it will come to council.
I understand that. We need, before it's even decided, it needs to come before council. Because people, if they were building this by your house on a dirt lot, you're going to have travel, you're going to have all kinds of problems that we can't foresee. And those are going to be discussed, and the people, the neighbors, the people being impacted by it will only know if it's actually a plan before they can make a decision. Right now, once it's decided and approved, the people won't have anything to say except for, oh, well, suffer.
Well, it's going to committee, and that's where the public can comment before
No,
approval.
it needs to go to city council. They're the ones should be making these decisions. It shouldn't go before committee because they move them back and forth. And if the city council once comes to it and they want to assign it to the committee, then they ought to do that in public meeting as well. People don't have time to go all to the committee meetings. It needs to come to council. That's the reason we elected our councilors to make these decisions so we can comment to them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other caller?
Caller, please identify yourself.
Hi, this is Skip Gorman. I usually don't jump in on council comment periods, but on this particular issue, I think I shall. I was approached recently by a thoughtful gentleman with a great idea. Here it is. His idea was locating the base reconstruction housing, the stuff we've been calling the man camp, on that 23-acre parcel, which has been identified for the Condesha Casino. I don't know if making that happen might involve adaptive language in the specific ordinance that you're working on right now, but my goodness, I think that's a wonderful idea. It's right next to the front gate. It's going to have utilities to accommodate the casino, and it's large enough that you don't have to have other man camps in less worthy locations, if you know what I mean, around the city, just making people angry. So there's the idea, and I hope Chief Strand was listening. The second comment I got is this. We're having trouble getting the public involved with these meetings. I mean involved enough that the meeting isn't hanging out legally. These YouTube venues that we're using to watch and listen to the city council meetings have an area associated with them called the chat. It's like a comment section in Facebook. If people are offering chat comments, one after another, and you council people are looking down at your screen, you'll see lots and lots of comments. You don't have to read them out loud, but you'll see what people think in a shotgun effect. Please give that some consideration. That was the only comments I had. Councilperson Lindsay, I'm enjoying your resourcefulness in making these haywire things actually try to work. God bless you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I know, that's what.
One more.
There we go.
There is a caller.
Caller, identify yourself.
Hi, it's Mike Sonat again. I think this is a really big mistake. I'm going to read something that I've written and putting up on Roadrunner395.com so that the people in this community are informed. Man camps. Ridgecrest continues playing the role of poor stepchild to the Navy. The man camps are coming, and the Ridgecrest City Council bent over backwards yet again for the Navy. You've twisted and turned the definition of employee housing to apply to contractors rebuilding the base. The temporary use permit housing will soon appear on various parcels of land in and around Ridgecrest, and I'm going to have to change this. I didn't realize it was 3 to 5 years. I thought it was a year or more. If you're selling your home anytime in the next few years, good luck. By remaking the ordinance to fit the circumstances, the city manager has executed a strategy giving himself effective authority over permitting, bonding, and other matters such as complaints from residents. The mayor and the council have become his handmaidens the day they hired him. Since being hired, Mr. Strand, along with the city attorney, have effectively become the most powerful and influential people in town. They are calling the shots, not the mayor or the council. With all the talk of unity and community during earthquakes, pandemics, and street protests, the only thing missing are the pom-poms. The mayor, with nothing to show in 4 years, is still plotting to annex Ridgecrest all the way out to Highway 395. She and Mr. Strand have a vision, but they won't tell you what it is until they spend $60,000 for a consultant to lay the groundwork for their scheme. This sounds like another park tax failure in the making. The city's attitude is clear. It's not their problem if it's on the other side of the line in the county. It's not their problem if we're running out of water. It's the water district's problem. The city will certainly welcome you to shop at Walmart and pay the sales taxes they rely on, and they're certainly looking forward to charging the contractors for the city's services. Parochialism is a game of fools, and Ridgecrest has plenty. There will be no true economic development or growth in the Indian Wells Valley anytime in the foreseeable future. Much of what hinders Ridgecrest is beyond our control because we have ineffective leadership with no ideas and a population of subservient workers in a company town. We get what we deserve. 1 or 2 of us watched the budget meeting, and currently there's 41 people watching this meeting. Nobody is informed as to what's going on. Annexation is apparently needed because millions of travelers are driving by Ridgecrest without stopping when we could make a buck selling burgers and coffee. I challenge the mayor and the city manager to save $60,000 and go sit out at 395 for 8 hours, count passersby, and then tell us how feasible your plan is. By the way, how much money was wasted on the parks tax? We never got an answer to that question. Put simply, Ridgecrest will continue on its slow decline into blight and decay, just as it's done in the last 40 years during Mr. Strand's entire tenure as a police officer, chief, and now city manager. He knows everything that goes on in the city, and he's fully vested. It's not his money that he's spending, it's yours. The city will always have ups and downs, mostly downs, and the Navy will talk of the need for recruiting, retention, and housing, but nothing meaningful will come from it. Here comes the new boss, same as the old boss. The current mayor and council are no different from any of those in the past, and they make the same mistakes by allowing the city to become a servant to the Navy, all while ignoring the rest of the Indian Wells Valley. Now the chickens are coming home to roost, and Ridgecrest has lost control of its water supply, and hence its viability as a city. And if you don't believe me, read the Groundwater Authority's engineering report. It's also posted on Roadrunner395.com.
Okay, Mike,
We can try to ignore
Mike,
it and let the Indian Wells Valley water...
Mike, your time is up.
Mr. Sanat, you've ran out. Mr. Sanat. Mr. Sanat.
Just end it.
Okay, is
You have
there
one
any other
forever if you're
public
ready.
comment?
I believe we have another.
Yep. We have more. Caller, please identify yourself.
Hi, my name is Kathy Brown.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just like to comment on the last caller. You know, I respect his views and everything, but I really believe that our city council is doing one heck of a job. Thank you, Peggy, for your great speech tonight on using masks. It is scientific evidence. And thank you, Mr. Strand, for doing a great job, and the rest of the council. I think buying the land that you were talking about, I think that's something that you have to look into the future for future growth for our city and for community, because, you know, we do want to grow, but we have to take in all these other variables into account. And, excuse me, I think you're doing a great job, like I said, and you have to kind of like look at today and then look into the future, because if we don't have growth, you know, we're going to fall apart. And as far as the temporary housing, we have to have that option on the table, because, you know, the base is the main amount of money. You know, they support our community. Without the base, I don't think we would exist. So I don't think we're kowtowing to anybody. I think we're being realistic and looking to the future to build a better community and also a better base, you know, with earthquake facilities and this and that. So anyway, that's really all I have to say tonight. I will say I'm a little shocked when I go into Walmart and I see a lot of people not wearing masks. And it's really unfortunate, because right now I think we kind of do have community spread. It's pretty obvious. You know, with respect to the numbers, they're going by 8%. We're at, I think, 9.2% or something like that for the whole state now. So, you know, this isn't the twilight zone, if you will, with this virus. I mean, it's there. There's even another one maybe coming, a new swine flu out of China, they said. That's another problematic situation. God help us all. Help the world, actually. But anyway, that's all I have to say tonight, and I think you guys are doing a good job. You know, you get beat up a lot, and it's a tough job, but you're standing strong, and you're giving the city direction, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From all of us.
We didn't have an earthquake this time during that comment.
We have one more call.
Caller, please identify yourself.
Hi, this is Mallory Boyd again. I had to weigh in based on the caller before the previous caller. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I've got some feedback on the computer. I just turned it off. I wanted to counter some of the previous opinions on the temporary housing discussion. I wanted to offer, I think Mr. O'Neill might be able to provide you some insights into what happened on base when we went through the last BRAC. The BRAC Commission basically mandated that any temporary housing that was required, or housing or office spaces that were required, would only be there during the duration of the BRAC process. And when they were done, all evidence of those facilities that they put on base were removed, and I I'd give you a nickel if you can go out and point out exactly where they were. But, they came in with mobile structures. They set up a little camp. I forget how many people were housed or provided. They weren't living there, but they were working there. But it might provide us a good example of something that would be effective for our community to put together livable spaces, tightly constrained, but also have an exit plan that when they're done, those mobile facilities were removed and everything looked like it did before the process started. I think there's an example that we might be able to leverage to our benefit here. As much as I'd like to think that there'd be a leave behind that we could benefit from in the community by having expanded housing, it's a little bit of a gamble that there would be a demand for those in the future. So having a plan that we can exit with little evidence that those facilities were there before might be something that would be worth considering. I, too, as the previous caller mentioned, thank you. I know this is a tough situation. We have a lot of potential workers coming here that we're going to have to figure out how to house. The local hotel capacities, given the demand for space and the demand those provide, there's not going to be enough capacity. I think you guys know that. But this might be a way that, an example, or a recent example that we've gone through that we can leverage what the Navy did as a way to move forward. Anyway, thanks, guys. Again, sorry to keep calling in. I know it's a late night meeting for you guys, but I appreciate having the phones open and taking comments. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mallory.
Thank you.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, the only comment on that would be is that, yes, the city staff will make sure that any temporary housing that comes in will be removed. And there will be obviously no leave behind.
And it will be paid for by the bond that the developer.
Correct.
That the
Correct.
contractor. Yeah, this
Yes.
isn't coming out of our monies.
No.
I see
Any
no more
other comments?
You ready for a motion?
Okay, let's have a motion.
You want me to make a motion?
Do we have to do two?
Oh, read it.
Yeah, you gotta do two.
You want to read it?
Yeah. Make a motion to waive reading in full of an ordinance of the City Council of Ridgecrest, California, amending portions of Chapter 106 of the Ridgecrest Municipal Code regarding temporary use of land for employee housing.
Second.
Yep. Can't do it.
Mayor Breeden?
Yes.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
Ms. Stevens?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Mauer?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Make a motion to adopt by title only an ordinance of the City Council of Ridgecrest, California, amending portions of Chapter 106 of the Ridgecrest Municipal Code regarding temporary use of land for employee housing.
Second.
Mayor Breeden?
Aye.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
Ms. Stevens?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Mauer?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, thank you. We are now on to committee reports. I am inserting a committee in here for Quad State. Steve Morgan is our representative on that. There's some some very important issues that I asked him to report to you on since he's our representative on that committee. And so, Mr. Morgan, if you would come up and address those issues. They're impactful in a number of ways.
Once again, Mayor and City Council, thank you for allowing me to be here and make this report. I'm only going to touch upon two issues, and if the Mayor would like me to touch on others, I can. I do not recall if I had sent to the Council the U.S. Department of Interior Bureau of Land Management report to Congress and analysis of achieving a sustainable wild horse and burro program. Did I send this out? Did I send this to the staff to get to the council? No. Okay, I'll do it. The reason why I bring this up and the reason why it's important to the city council, and it pertains to the next issue. you will be flabbergasted by the amount of money that Congress is spending. This report, I'm trying to find the right chart. This was an analysis report over the next 5 years, according to the 5-year estimated funding table. In year 1, 116 million. Year 2, 149 million. Year 3, 185 million. Year 4, 212 million. In year 5, 238 million. But that does not include proposed research funding. We have a burro and horse corral just in San Bernardino County. This is what they're talking about, is trying to limit the number of wild burros and horses running around on BLM land. And the problem with the wild burro and horses is they are destroying habitat. And so it's a problem for bighorn sheep. It's a problem for desert tortoise. It's a problem for Mojave ground squirrel. It's a problem for every, I call them weeds, but plants that are in the desert, okay? And this is another example, as I've tried to tell you before, that all of these DWEMAs and HCPs and all these other lovely little ways that they're trying to control land should be very concerning to you as a council. It is very concerning to the county of Kern. And what it does is it drives up their argument that they need 5-to-1 mitigation if you're going to do anything with land. And that includes inside the borders of the city of Ridgecrest if they so deem. That is still in effect. I can remember walking with Gary Parsons, with a BLM manager, to all the empty property in Ridgecrest, and her only response every time was, well, it could be habitat. So the reason why I point that out, and I will send that out to you, is we've talked about ravens before, and we know that we're still watching that, and the city sent a letter, which I appreciate, because they are also out of control, and they are also eating desert tortoise. But now they are protected by there's a Bird Act, a Congressional Bird Act, and the crows or the ravens are protected by it. And it's crazy. The reason why, I think the main reason why the mayor wanted me here tonight to discuss with you was the Quad State has intervened in a lawsuit that may be coming down the pike about listing the Joshua tree as an endangered species.
You gotta be kidding.
I wish I was.
When I drive to Arizona down the 10, that's all you see.
So the problem is that the Department of the Federal Fish and Wildlife Department has already said that it wouldn't be listed, but the interveners have filed a lawsuit asking, I want to get this right, asking the federal government to look into the Joshua tree as an endangered species because of climate change.
They're getting too much water.
So this is, even the Board of Supervisors in the County of Kern have written a letter. Quad State wrote a letter from Nossaman, and if I didn't send that out, I will send that to you as well. But the city of Ridgecrest is represented in that letter. The County of Kern wrote a similar letter, and there are more and more cities and counties catching on and starting to sign on in one capacity or another to fight this if they get a full-blown review. We aren't there yet. We have not received information. You, the city, Quad State, has not received information. as to whether this is going to move forward, but there are already litigation costs. And I'm not here to ask the city of Ridgecrest for any money, but I am working with Executive Director Jerry Hillier, and I'm trying to get a letter formatted to present through the city of Ridgecrest, if you so choose, to the Kern County Board of Supervisors. Kern County left Quad State several years ago. However, in this case, they have written a letter of opposition. And if litigation moves forward, it would be very helpful, even with all the problems the County of Kern has, if they would sign on to some amount to help fight. So with that, I know that Kern County, Inyo County, LA counties in support of Quad State position to not list the Joshua Tree, and the State Energy Commission pointed out that the listing of the Joshua Tree would eliminate some 30,000 acres from development, which should concern you. Because even if you don't have a Joshua Tree inside Ridgecrest today, and I'm not going to say you don't, climate change could mean you might have one tomorrow. And they would have to protect that land now if this lawsuit moves forward. And that would curb development within your city. So that's why it's important to keep track. Quad State is on top of it. I believe that is the issue the mayor primarily wanted me to speak about. I will send out more information as I get it to the staff to be disseminated to you all, so that you can keep abreast of it. I'm hoping that I can get this letter formatted quickly and to you for discussion in an open session at some point. I would ask that you would move it forward and send it to the county supervisors, even if they say no. It is very important. The Joshua Tree is everywhere in Kern County. Everywhere. And even communities like California City, not Ridgecrest, but they've got 200 some odd acres, and they got Joshua trees all over. So the information's trying to get out, and I appreciate your time this evening. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But I'm sure Mr. Hillier would also be willing to either come down or write a separate report if you'd like to see it. If you want to see the actual lawsuit, I can get it to you. It's written in legalese. I don't understand half of it, to be honest with you. But the primary point, they're using climate control as their issue now. They're using it for everything and all times, and yet we continue to have no real solution for burros and wild horses or ravens or other issues. They just keep closing land. That's it.
Unless council has any objections, I'd like to have him send that to our staff so we can get a letter out and discuss it and get a letter out. I don't think we're going to have any issues with the dollars of it, because quite frankly, we aren't in the dollars of it. We are in the process of, are they going to delist it? Are they going to list it? And if they do, the fiscal impact is going to be tremendous, certainly in Kern County. And the potential of what it could do to the city of Ridgecrest is important. And the issue of the borough, I want more information sent so it can be distributed to council too, please.
Yeah,
Does anybody have any objections?
No, just real quick, Mr. Morgan, thank you for the update and keeping us aware. And I really do appreciate it. It's something that I wasn't paying attention to, but I would like to see. You stated that you could get a hold of the legal document, right? The proceedings.
I have it.
Okay.
I'll send it to. I guess I'm going to send it to Heather because Rick is on vacation.
Or you could send.
How did Rick get a vacation? Yeah, I'll send it to Heather to get to you guys.
Or send it directly to me. It doesn't matter to me.
Well,
I would love to read it.
That way, if he only sends it once, it goes out to all of us.
If we're going to draft any kind of letter, be involved monetarily in any way, especially when it comes to the environment, BLM, I'd love to be fully brief.
Yeah.
I just think it's another great example of your $1,000 investment in Quad State.
Yeah. Thank you.
I would like to add just a little, bit to that. With the Joshua trees, those of us that live in the desert, we know that they grow in like an elevation and a certain geographical area. So if climate change is real and that geographical area shifts, then so other endangered species, if you ever watch endangered species such as grizzly bear and wolf introductions, as that moves, so will that land that they're going to protect in order to protect this species.
You got it.
So, thank you,
Okay.
Steve.
Thanks for your report. Okay, the next, we're going to go to the Finance Committee. Scott?
We have not met.
Okay, the next committee,
We,
Infrastructure.
we had a real long meeting last Thursday. Too bad you weren't there.
Set a record,
Anyway,
I think.
Yeah, I think it did. The major thing we talked about first was the street signals. And we had a nice report from one of the suppliers of those. Currently, most of our cameras are getting older and not they're stealing parts to fix them. Eventually, we're going to have to start replacing them. And the estimate for a intersection is like $20,000 to replace them all. They've got others for $15,000, but we kind of thought that we should probably spend the extra money. Anyway, we didn't really make any major decisions on that one. Then we had, and I didn't bring my notes, but we had one of the things we voted on last meeting. It had to do with the street lights, and we voted on three. I think it was 3 projects last meeting, and one of them that we voted on was the 6 street lights on our section of China Lake Boulevard, and that's not 100%; it's a 50% grant. So we have to come up with traffic signals. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I meant traffic signals. So we voted as a committee to go ahead and submit that application as City Council had directed, even though it's only a 50% reimbursement on it. So and that's basically it.
Okay, Economic Development,
Meet next Wednesday.
Parks and Rec. No, they haven't met, the RCVB. Okay, so we would, other committees, boards, and commissions? None? City Manager's Report?
Yes, ma'am. I'll turn this over briefly to Ms. Spurlock for an update on affordable housing.
So last Thursday, the Strategic Growth Council awarded the Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities Grant to the Mojave View Project. That was for the 76-unit affordable housing. The total award for that grant was $18 million. This included a portion of city-owned land that we will sell to them for $160,000. It also included about $4 million in public works projects. So there was transit-related amenities that included 2 electric vans, the bus shelter, and new stop that would be adjacent to this affordable housing project. There's also going to be new shelters at City Hall and additional street lighting. There's pedestrian improvements that would make all of the sidewalks along Norma, Drummond, and Los Flores ADA compliant. There's new bikeways on Felspar from Downs to Norma, and then from Drummond to the high school and middle school. And there'd also be bike crossings on Norma and Downs. And the last part is greenscaping. So there's going to be an improvement to the drainage channel that exists on Norma, which would increase the retention to accommodate the flooding that happens there. And there's also a replacement of grass in front of City Hall. So we expect to hear from the AHSC within the next 2 weeks on how to proceed.
Thank you. Anything else, Brian?
Yeah, one other comment for this evening. We did get notified that we received Office of Economic Adjustment grant for about $500,000. This is a project involving the Navy, China Lake Alliance, and the county and the water district, where they'll be, as a collaborative effort, as a group, we'll be hiring a consultant to examine energy and water security within the valley. So it helps both the city and the base and for future planning. The city will be the lead in that. We'll be participating on an in-kind basis, and the $500,000 will be used to hire the consulting firm to be able to lead the effort with obviously a significant amount of community involvement. And that we should be bringing back to council for your approval next meeting. And that's all I have at this point in time.
Future agenda items? Anyone?
I'd like to have an agenda item to set the appeal price for the temporary housing.
Yes, we can do that.
Anyone else? Okay, mayor and council comments? Anyone?
Yeah, I'll quickly say that I thank you to staff, to IT, for being so agile, getting around these issues. That was good work on your part. Lindsay, thanks for the assist, big assist. Appreciate that. I'd like to reiterate everything we've said tonight, not just in COVID-19, but foot stomping our commitment to the community and to each other, remaining civil. We shouldn't have to hear about people treating business owners and people who run those businesses badly. That's discouraging to hear. But I'll also say that in our responsibility to each other and responsibility to the community, that personal responsibility means, well, it means that these businesses should, in my opinion, keep operating. And I'm sad to see that the governor's shutting them down. I think that people can be, patronize businesses at their whim. I think that's how it should operate. I think that you should pay attention. You should follow the CDC. You should be on these scientific forums. We all have all the information in the world at our fingertips, so to not be informed on what's going on is not responsible. So treat each other civilly, please, just as we are doing. And I wish it was our decision to open or close businesses, but it's not. Thank you.
I just wanted to add a thought onto that, because at one point in time we had agreed to send a letter to the governor to be considered separately. We then, some on council decided we didn't need to do that, and maybe if this continues to be a trend, we should still move forward with that.
I'd like to thank Mr. Morgan for his presentation on the Measure V committee tonight, and all the committee members that were partook in that endeavor. You guys did a great job. You were efficient. It was a very readable, understandable report, and thank you guys. And same with, I want to thank Gary again for his will and work on, and Mrs. Stevens for salvaging tonight's meeting. And I'm looking forward, and I'm sure that Gary's looking forward to our new upgraded equipment here in the near future. So very good.
I'd also like to thank Steve for his service. And I just have a few comments. Several weeks ago, I had a friend tell me that he went into a certain business in town I won't mention, and he wore a mask, and he got shamed by a customer in there that wasn't wearing a mask. I think the masks are important. I also think that people can exercise their right to wear them or not wear them, except I remember reading an article about a customer went into a Costco in Colorado, refused to wear a mask, and they exited him. Businesses have the right to set rules on private property. I mean, it's their property. You have the right to decide whether or not you want to shop at that business, but that business has the right to set the rules. When the gym first opened here in town, I started going back to it. You had to wear a mask going in and coming out, and when you were roaming around, but you didn't have to wear it while you were actually using the machines. Today, they require everybody to wear masks all the time. It is very hard for me to use a mask while I'm using a machine, but we have to obey the rules because that is their rules for their business. And I would hope everybody would be polite. The mask wear, a news report today said the masks were based on politics, and if you were wearing a mask, you were blue, and if you weren't wearing a mask, you're red. I totally disagree with that. I think there's a lot of red people wearing masks, and I think there's some blue people not wearing masks. So I don't think the masks should be political. I think they should be medical. And I just want to thank all the citizens of Ridgecrest that are obeying the rules and wearing the mask to protect each of us. So I'm 76 years old. I'm technically vulnerable. Fortunately, I don't know anybody that's caught the COVID-19 yet. So but as the positive counts in Ridgecrest go up, maybe I will know somebody. But fortunately, so far, I don't know anybody at Ridgecrest that's gotten it.
I thank Gary, especially, and our IT staff for trying to do what we're asking them to do with equipment that is inept or been broken or is not working and is old. And I thank staff for trying to get this done as quickly as possible. It is not fun. I don't like our meetings being closed, but I also am not going to take on the state of California if they say we must. And that's why one of the things when Ron talked about closing tonight, I said, let's just be cautious and do what we have to do until we can find out the exact rules, because there's no way any of us want to bear the burden of being seen as trying to thwart what they're trying to do, even if I don't like it. So anyhow, thank you all. I appreciate your comments. It was so nice to hear compliments today for all of us. We're so used to being bashed on the head, and bashing on the head is part of the job. But the compliments are deeply, deeply appreciated, even though we learn from bashing on the head. So thank you all, and adjourn the meeting.